Trade unionist and socialist coalition groups across England, Scotland and Wales have been growing since the May elections of this year. Working class people are increasingly alienated from the likes of Eton Boy, Boris Johnson.
There's a lot of space to do that.
We could feed some of the human beings to the animals.
Well,
that would, couldn't we?
And Sir Keir Starmer.
You'd have failed your test.
Okay, very good.
We need a vehicle to have our voices heard in elections and beyond them. Many TUSC groups are making the next steps to take on their local councils by hosting public budget conferences to build a zero cuts budget.
Well, we're here today, of course, trying to reach people, getting people involved in a people's budget. For myself, I think that's one of the biggest things, housing. So much is being sold to private landlords, to private developers, and it's becoming unaffordable. It's, as someone who's working on minimum wage pretty much my whole life, the idea of owning a home is a dream beyond anything attainable. We can see in Northampton itself, we have got multiple buildings, places that could be developed into apartments, places which have been standing empty for years. And these things could be taken into the local authorities. These could become affordable council homes.
It is embarrassing that a council has so many homeless and that we require charities. Today there is a charity here who are supporting the homeless by providing food for them. This is brutal that it would be down to people to come together off their own backs, or if they do receive support from the council, they must bid for it. They must try to fight each other to be able to help people. That's not right. That's not decency. That is not humanity.
Crime has actually been, a big thing. There's no places to go. Like I say, once again, our services are cut. Schools no longer are doing many out of hours clubs or events or things that effectively get community together.
This council has overwhelmingly cut services that are relied upon by vulnerable people. Services for women's refuges, service cuts specifically for adults with learning disabilities and mental health problems.
I think that's probably one of the worst sort of things for anyone. If you're suffering with mental health, you need people who you can talk to on a regular basis.
And yet at the same time, the council have absolutely splurged on projects such as Angel Square, which they couldn't even afford to keep and now have to rent back. One of the consequences of which, by the way, is that people who need to use Angel Square's services for private, intimate discussions about child custody, for example, are forced to sit in the open space cafeteria areas because the council cannot give them a room to actually have their discussion in.
It's so bad that I've lost faith in how the Tory party can run this town at all. Watching things close down and not return, nothing replaces it. It just becomes dead, vacant buildings and properties and lots.
Basic services just aren't being fulfilled. We're talking about very basic things that every council should be able to do correctly. Things that have been running for decades without issue, things like bin collection, things like public transport infrastructure, which are just crumbling around us for no good reason. This is the issue when we talk about cuts. There is a ton of spending going on all the time. The things that they cut are minuscule by comparison.
One of the reasons that I'm supporting a zero cuts budget is because cuts aren't necessary. The money is there. The council have spent money on the football stadium, which was not rejuvenated. That money was lost.
The issues, of course, with public transport really go back to the demolition, the completely unnecessary demolition of a perfectly good bus station in favour of something that blocks traffic all the way up Gold Street and all the way up the Drapery. The bin collection situation is awful. It is truly, truly awful. People living in HMOs like myself are getting weekly bin collections where we get 2 bin bags taken and 3 small recycle boxes. This is for households of 6 and up people. That is completely ridiculous. It's not at all sustainable. And on top of that, there are no council-run bottle banks anymore outside of supermarkets. This would massively alleviate the problem as well, and it's not something that would even cost a lot of money.
People in Northampton have been paying up to 5% more in their council tax and yet are having less services, and we think that's unfair and unnecessary.
I think we really need to be changing how we strategize. And I think that a people's budget is far better because everyone gets to have their say. I get to put in some things that I've seen, but so does anyone else. Everyone else sees something different. And with more people, you get a broader view of what's actually happening in our town.
But we need to get people involved so that they can have their voice heard with their own Labour councillors, with their own Tory councillors, that can actually say, no, you aren't representing us, you aren't fighting for us, so we need something else. And that's what the Trade Union Associates Coalition, that's what TUSC is standing for, and that's why we're getting out here and we're trying to drum up that passion to make a change and make things better.
The budget we're proposing includes investment into youth services, investment into some of our more vulnerable citizens and giving people a chance to have a decent life. Our budget can go a lot further and reach a lot more people if people come along on Monday the 29th of November and have their say on how we build this budget and make it one that the council will find hard to refuse. And they will, we've no doubt about that, but we're proving to them that it can be done. And from that we'll build a campaign to fight back against the Tories in Northamptonshire councils.
Be part of the fight back. Join us at Abington Community Centre's new hall on Monday 29th of November at 7:30 p.m. to have your say in a zero cuts budget. Alternatively, you can join us from Zoom. Hope to see you there.